Going on, everybody? Today's video is the art of an offer. Going to talk about in the seller's market how a buyer can get an offer accepted and get themselves under contract and get in a home in a crazy market. It's just some unique ways. So far, my 6 months as a realtor, every deal I've had has been the buyer side, and it's in a seller's market, and I've gotten all my buyers under contract. I've gotten them all closed. I've kept the deals together. Not bragging on myself, but I feel like I have a little bit of experience getting kind of creative to get it done, and they've all been FHA buyers too. So in FHA buyers are having a harder time to get their deals accepted, and I'll explain to you why shortly, because that's actually my first point in getting your offer accepted. So point number one, ways to get your offer accepted is be a conventional buyer if you can. If you can be approved for a conventional loan, go conventional. Yes, you have to put 5% down as your down payment versus 3.5% FHA, but in general, as a seller, when you get a conventional offer, that tells you that buyer is a strong buyer. There's little to no chance that they're going to be disapproved for the loan once it gets into underwriting and those things. They put more money down. They don't have the guidelines that FHA has. So even if the house is being sold as is, if you have an FHA loan, the FHA appraisal comes in and says, hey, there's paint chips here, this AC isn't working, whatever the case may be, there's guidelines that the seller has to do to sell the house. Now, he can always say, I'm not doing any of that and I'm putting it back on the market, but again, then he's wasting more time. So a conventional offer is always going to be considered over an FHA or even a VA, because the same thing with a VA loan. They have certain guidelines that protects the buyers that the seller has to make sure the house fits. So a conventional loan is always going to be easier for a seller, and it says that you're a very strong buyer because the guidelines for a conventional loan are a lot stricter than an FHA loan. Number two, talk to your loan guy before you make an offer. Say, hey, I'm making an offer today. What's the quickest time for sure we can close? What's the shortest time? And you know what? You're going to have a quick closing time in this market. There's, sellers want to get paid. Sellers want to get their house sold right away. That's, the quickest as possible. So you're going to have a quick closing time, even if that means if you're renting to buying, even if you have to pay rent for a month and mortgage for a month at the same time, you may have to sacrifice that. So before you make an offer, talk to your loan guy. Say, hey, I'm making an offer today. Tell me the date that we can definitely close, the quickest we can close, so we can make the offer as aggressive as possible. Step number three, getting an offer accepted, offer a bigger escrow check, offer a bigger down payment, offer a bigger deposit, the typical deposit is, 0.5% to 1% to 2% of the sales price. That's your initial escrow deposit check. If you want, I did that on the last deal as well to just show, hey, we're strong buyers. We're not going to quit on this deal. We want this house to happen. It was a $200,000 house, and we had a $5,000 deposit check just to show we were real serious. We're not backing out. We're in this thing for a long haul. So that's just getting creative. Just get, terms. Talked about it all the time. Terms. So that's another way you can do it as well, is to show the buyer, show the seller that you're really serious about this house and you do not want to back out of this deal. So let's put a bigger escrow check. You're fine with that. Another way to do it, and I would never recommend this personally to my clients, but if you want to get under contract, it might be something you have to do, because there will be offers that offer this, and that's waiving the inspections. I would never recommend my client to do it. Whatever my client wants to do, that's on them. I always believe you should get the inspections done, but at the same time, obviously, if you waive the inspections and the seller already knows that there's, inspections is where a lot of the times the deal falls apart. The buyer and seller can't agree, can't negotiate the repairs that need to be done, or, the buyer wants to be done, and the deal falls apart. So again, anything that gets the deal done, or quicker to being done, easier being done, the seller is going to favor that. So if you have, and he will, in this market, they will get offers that waive the inspections. There's no doubt about it. So if you can waive the inspection, if you have somebody that's a contractor in your family that can do anything for you at a very cheap price or just for free or whatever the case may be, waiving the inspections is another good way to get your offer accepted over somebody else. Another way to do that is a big initial offer. Asking price. People are going over ask. My last deal on Monday, that I closed, we actually went $20,000 over asking price to get it accepted, and That's what people are doing in this market to get houses accepted. It's still appraised for value. So, it was a good decision by us. We didn't have to worry about covering the appraisal, which we'll get to that in a minute. But going over ask, and people, you might ask, how high should I go over ask? It all about how much you love the house. If you love the house and you have to have it, go big or go home. You might not get a counter from the seller. They might just accept another deal. There's no guarantee that they're going to do highest or best offer either. You might get only one chance at it. So if you really love the house, if you want the house, if you have to have the house you feel, go big and don't look back. Another thing you can do, we just talked about, brought it up very slightly, is to, in the offer to cover the difference in appraisal. For example, you go 20,000 over ask and the appraisal only appraises at the asking price. So there's a 20,000 difference there. If you have the extra cash, you're offering to cover the difference, 20,000. You'll put an extra $20,000 down to cover the difference and make that loan where the appraisal amount is. That's tough. Not everyone has that kind of cash rolling around, but a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are going 40, 50,000 over ask and saying, we'll cover the difference in the appraisal, or we'll cover 10 to 15,000 difference in the appraisal, whatever that may be. If you have the funds to do that, that also helps get the offer done, because it does have to appraise for the mortgage or value. I got creative again. We're talking about Monday, my closing on Monday. The house that we offered on wasn't finished. It wasn't scheduled to be on the market for another 2 to 3 weeks. It actually ended up being like 4 or 5 weeks before it was done, but it wasn't scheduled to be on the market for another 2 or 3 weeks. I just saw it in our MLS. So get your realtor to look at some houses that isn't on the market yet, that aren't ready. It was a flip. It was getting renovated. It wasn't done, but me and the client liked where it was headed. We saw the person was doing good work. We saw it was not a normal flip where the guy was just trying to make a quick buck. He was doing a great job. Probably the best paint job I've ever seen. And then everything was top of the line, new appliances, new countertops, everything. I loved how the house was going, the direction it was going. My client did. We felt very comfortable putting in an offer 20 over, even though it wasn't finished. Obviously, you put clauses in there to protect yourself if the seller doesn't finish the job or do it properly the rest of the way, but that's another way. And the final way to get under contract and get a deal done in this seller's market, if you're a buyer, have you or your realtor, or both of you, browse some FSBO websites. And if you're not familiar with the term, FSBO, FSBO, for sale by owner, browse some FSBO websites. Even though it's a crazy market, FSBOs still don't sell as fast as houses that are being publicized by realtors. We just have so many more ways to advertise. We have so many more websites to get your house on. So FSBOs are still behind on the selling side of things as far as how quickly they get sold. So maybe browse some FSBOs, see if there's some houses on there that's been on the market for a week to a month. Go see those, see if they're houses you can deal with. Get your realtor to schedule a showing, whatever needs to be done, and check that out as well. So that's it today. Art of an offer for this crazy market. If you're a buyer, hope everyone has a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Like, comment, subscribe. Message me as always if you're a buyer or a seller, and I'll answer all your questions. Thank you.